Okay, students, let's quickly revise what we did yesterday, and then we'll start with today's lecture. The very first thing that we did yesterday was we learned what exactly are the various kind of ciphers. We started off with Caesar cipher, and then we moved on towards Playfair cipher. I spent a lot of time in Caesar cipher because this is one of the most basic kind of ciphers, so it should be crystal clear. If you have any doubts regarding these two ciphers, that is Caesar cipher and Playfair cipher, I can revise it once quickly within 2 or 3 minutes if you want, or else we can start with today's lecture. I guess still people are joining in, so let's wait for 2 minutes. So if you wish, you could ask any questions if you have in mind regarding these two ciphers. Playfair was done later, so these were the rules of Playfair cipher. First of all, we check whether there is any uh, same characters inside that particular uh, pair or not. If there are same characters, what we do is we split those characters by adding any extra character in between. Just we saw with the help of this example balloon. Now you might be having a question. O and O is also getting repeated, but have a look carefully. It is one pair. It is one pair. This is one pair after adding that extra character X, and this is the last pair. So as you can see, there is no repeating characters now. So hence we have split all those repeating characters in a pair, and now these can be treated separately. Is it clear? Secondly, we saw there are the second rule is both of the characters, if they are in the same row, then we replace those with the characters present immediately to the right of it. If it is the last character, then it simply cyclically rotates around the particular row. Am I clear? Same thing we saw with the columns. If they fall in the same column, then we have to replace the character with the character immediately below it, right? And if the pairs doesn't follow any of these three criterias, then we fall back to the last criteria, which is rule number 4, that if they form a rectangle or a square, then we consider the diagonally opposite elements of the same row. So, for example, we also saw what are the various common mistakes people do in this particular scenario. For example, if we consider the character as MG, then it will be replaced by NE. Am I clear? So, these are the characteristics of Playfair cipher that we did yesterday. And regarding one more doubt, I came across many of you. This particular box is of 25 characters, and we are already adding the extra character J along with I. So what happens? We can see that it is a clear cut, snug fit. Whatever 25 characters are there, they are fitting exactly within those 25 boxes. So there should not be any case of any extra character, or there should not be any case of any free space, because there won't be any free space and there won't be any extra characters if you arrange them properly. So the main question is you must not repeat the characters again and again. If it is written once, that's it. You can't enter it again in the box. Is it clear? These are the basics of Playfair cipher and Caesar cipher. If you're having any doubts with it, Dhruv, now is it clear? So if you're having any doubts, you can kindly let me know. One second. In GK, G will replace with I or J. Let me go back. GK, you are saying, right? Yeah, it actually depends. If you are willing to replace it with I, you can replace it with I, or if you wish, you can replace it with J also. It entirely depends upon who encrypts the message. It is I/J, so you can either use I or J. It's entirely up to you. Fine. So can we proceed ahead with today's lecture? Okay, now I guess people are joining in 50 and 30. Okay, 50 and 40. Pratik, I have already uploaded the previous lecture snippets also on Classroom. Kindly check. It's together. It's uploaded together. The videos and the snippets in the form of PDFs. I've already uploaded it. I guess I have uploaded till third lecture, fourth, and today's lecture snippets are left. So I will upload it together, the video recordings and the snippets. Fine. So let's start with today's lecture. As I have already given you the links of my website, if you scroll down, you will find a button, download lecture notes. So click on it and you will be able to download those lecture notes. in the form of PDFs. Okay, so fine. So let's start with today's lecture. So today we are going to learn a more complex kind of a cipher. Complex as in it will be a little trickier as compared to what we have been doing so far. We have seen Caesar cipher and Playfair cipher so far. Caesar cipher was one of the monoalphabetic substitution ciphers that we saw. Monoalphabetic as in there is only one character and that is being replaced by any other character. As simple as that. Whereas in case of polyalphabetic ciphers, we saw that in the case of Playfair ciphers, there could be pairs of characters. That is, number of characters more than one. So in the case of Playfair cipher, we saw that there is a pair of characters that are combined together and then they are being replaced by some other pairs. Right. So that is what we call as a polyalphabetic cipher. Any operation involving more than one character falls under polyalphabetic cipher. So we already saw what is Playfair. Today we are going to see what is Hill cipher, and if time permits, we can start with Wigner cipher also. Because Hill cipher itself is a little complex to understand, so I will focus a lot on that. Questions are being asked on this particular algorithm, 10 marks question with problems. So you have to focus a lot on this particular cipher. So let's see what exactly Hill cipher is all about, and then we'll solve some problems. For this reason only, I asked you to carry your calculators. If you're having it, well and good. Otherwise, manually you have to do. So let's see what exactly is Hill cipher. So basically, Hill cipher consists of this particular concept over here. Just go through the definition once, and in the meantime, if anyone wants to get hold of the calculators, if you're not having it, kindly go and grab your calcies within 2 minutes. Till then, kindly understand this definition over here in front of you. This encryption algorithm takes M successive plaintexts and substitutes for them M ciphertext letters. So basically, what we are doing, it's like a series. We are having, sorry, we are having plaintext letters. For example, there are M plaintext letters. Okay, M could be any value. It could be 10, 20, 100, whatever. And what we do is for each successive plaintext letter, we use a corresponding ciphertext letter. Is it fine? So if there are M plaintext letters, there has to be M ciphertext letters also. So for each of these plaintext letters, we replace them with some ciphertext letter. Simple, clear till now. What happens is the substitution is determined by M linear equations. Now, if you see over here, this particular equations, these particular equations, C1, C2, C3. Our main objective is to find out C1, C2, C3. For example, if I'm having the length of the plain text as 3, for example, the plain text is cat, bat, hat, whatever it is. If the length of the plain text is 3, then I will be having 3 as M. Am I clear? Yes or no? Yes, fine. So if M is equal to 3, the length of the plain text is 3, then we need 3 corresponding ciphertext bits, which will actually be substituted in place of that plain text. Yes. So what we will do is we will follow such equations or such formulae. The formula is mentioned over here. C1 is nothing but K11P1 plus K21P2 plus K31P3, entire thing mod 26. Now don't get confused what exactly K1, K2, K3 is. K is nothing but the key. So if we have the plain text of length 3, then we will need a key as a matrix of 3 by 3. Is it clear? If the plain text is of size 4, then we will need a matrix of size 4 by 4. Am I clear? Just have a look. Any doubts so far? Just follow this particular image over here. For m is equal to 3, the system can be described as C1, C2, C3 is equal to so and so. This is the formula. This can be expressed in terms of row vectors and matrices. You have already seen what is matrix multiplication. So we have basically converted this equation in this format. C1, C2, C3 is nothing but P1, P2, P3 into the matrix multiplication. Whatever is the result, mod 26. Am I clear? This is what we call as modular arithmetic because everything, whatever we are doing is in terms of mod. So whatever result we obtain after multiplying each and every character, we have to take mod of it by 26. This is the formula. We can't do any changes to it. This is how the Hill cipher works. Clear? Yesterday, someone asked me in the feedback form, if I'm not wrong, can we encrypt in the Caesar cipher, for example, can we uh, do subtraction in place of addition in the case of encryption? We can't do that because Caesar cipher is a standard. If you want to do it, then it will be your own algorithm. But we can't modify the existing Caesar. Yeah, Akil, I guess. Akil had asked. So, Akil, I hope I answered your query. You can't modify the standard algorithms which are already there because they have been implemented since long, and you can't change the actual theory of it. You can create your own algorithm by modifying the existing ones, but that won't be Caesar cipher. That may be maybe Akil's cipher or whatever it is, right? So you can't change the existing ones, but you can modify it to make your own ciphers. That is the gist of the uh, concept. So same thing over here. These are the standards. We have to follow the algorithm's flow and the methods. Correct, Pratik? So this is the algorithm. I hope so you got it. So what exactly happens is we can further uh, write it in a more concise fashion as C is equal to P dot K mod 26. Am I clear? Is the diagram clear? Is the expression clear? To be precise, C is equal to P dot K mod 26. So far, it's very simple. There is no issue with it. I will just let you know where is the actual case where you will find some difficulty in solving it. Otherwise, it's very simple. No issues with it. And don't worry, you will, in the exam you will get a plain text in of the length 3 or 4 maximum, because otherwise it would be a very difficult and long sort of calculation. So in the exam you won't get anything in excess of 4 by 4 or 3 by 3. Fine. So let's study, let's understand the next definition over here, where C and P are the row vectors of length 3. I'm just reading it out. If you feel anything is left out, kindly let me know. Representing, where C represents the ciphertext. I guess I have written interchangeably, where C is the ciphertext and P is the plain text. Okay. And K is a 3 by 3 matrix representing the encryption key. Whatever is the operation, operations are performed mod 26. That I have already explained. Whatever operation you perform, you have to take the remainder by 26. Now I'm giving you an example. We'll solve it. Now what happens is, you can see the plain text length. What is the length of the plain text? Kindly calculate and tell me. Length of the plain text. Okay. B division, yeah, correct. 12. It's very simple. Simply count the number of alphabets. That's it. Number of letters. So now you might be wondering, the plain text length is 12. Do we need a 12 by 12 key? Yes or no? Can you solve it manually within those stipulated time period of your exam? No. 12 by 12 matrix means a lot of manual work. Even calculators can't do that. So what you can do is, the key size is 3 by 3 as it is already mentioned. So you have to break it up into groups of 3. So if it is if the plain text is of length 12, then you have to break it in 4 parts of 3. Am I clear? So we'll be working on each of the different parts, and then we will combine the different ciphertexts to get a final ciphertext. Am I clear? Okay. So just have a look. This is the key given. I have not assumed any value. This particular value is already given in the key, in the question. Okay. So this is your 3 by 3 key. Now what you need to do is, you have to simply follow the above formula. What you can do is, you know that after you have already completed Caesar cipher, you need numbers in place of these characters. Yes or no? Because we can't directly work on those characters. We need to convert them into numbers. As you can see, the key is made up of numbers. So we can't combine or we can't multiply numbers with alphabets. Can we do so? Obviously not. So we need some sort of numbers. So we already know that A stands for 0, B stands for 1, Z stands for 25. So using the same logic, you have to convert this particular plain text, that is pay more money, into numbers. and you now know what are those numbers, right? We already saw a table yesterday. It's simple. If you want to practice, if you can't, if you don't have access to a screenshot, simply write at the last page of your notebook ABCD 0 to 25. That's it. You can uh, refer to that page n number of times without having the need of any screenshots or anything else. Fine. It's simple as that. So let's move on. The K is given, and you now know that the plain text is divided into four parts of three each. Now, what is the very first thing? What is the very first group? It is PAY, as you can see over here. One second. Yeah. As you can see over here, the first group is PAY, then MOR, then EMO, and then NEY. So I will focus on only the first section of it, that is PAY, and let's see how to do it. The first three letters, I'm talking about the encryption now. The first three letters of the plain text are represented by the vector. If you want, you can give commas, but as it is a vector, I have not written commas over here. So as you can see, the first three letters of the plain text are represented as 15, 0, and 24. Now you may ask why. I have already explained how. P stands for 15, as 0 stands for A, and 24 stands for Y. Is it clear? Kindly let me know in the chat box. Yes? Fine? Okay. So we are splitting the 12 characters into four groups of three each because the key length is 3 by 3. Just to accommodate the multiplication, we are doing like this. Fine. Okay. So now what we need to do is, according to our formula, what is our formula? C is equal to P dot K mod 26. Yes or no? So that is what we are doing over here. It is nothing but P. This is P. This is K. Whatever is the result, we are multiplying it. So I hope you know how to multiply. Obviously, it is very simple. It's a simple multiplication, matrix multiplication. Whatever result you got, this is the result. It is basically, I guess, 1 into 3, 1 by 3 into 3 by 3. So you will get a result in 1 by 3, I guess. Yeah, fine. So this is one row, three columns. That is the result you got over here. Whatever result you get, take the mod of that individual number. For example, 303 mod 26. Whatever is the result is 17. So you will get again a matrix 17, 17, 11, and you have to now convert this into alphabets. Isn't it simple? Yes or no? If you want any further explanation, I will repeat it once again. Let me revise it once again. What you are doing is you got the first three characters of your plain text. It was PAY. You converted that into numbers. So after converting those into numbers, you got a vector of the format 15, 0, 24. Fine. Now you need to multiply it with the K matrix. That is according to your formula. What is the formula? Your formula is C is equal to P dot K, the result, mod 26. So we now have this P value, which is 15024. We already have K value. You simply need to multiply both of these matrices. Whatever is the result, take mod of it individually, mod of individual terms, and you will get an answer such as 17, 17, 11. Now you need to convert this back into alphabets because at the end we want alphabets only. Initially, plain text was pay more money, whatever it was. Now it is RRL for the first three characters PAY. So I can say that PAY got converted into RRL. Am I clear? Am I making any sense? Any doubts with these? Kindly let me know. Is it clear? Yeah, Jay, once again. Okay, let me explain. Jay, the formula is somewhat like this. C is P multiplied by K mod 26. Now, as you know, the plain text is pay more money. It adds up to 12 characters, but we have a key of size 3 only, 3 by 3 matrix. So we can't have a 12 by 12 matrix because the multiplication would be too huge. So what we do is we convert the plain text, which is of size 12, into four parts or four groups of size 3. 3 into 4, 12, right? So we will now work on each of those individual groups separately. That is what we are doing over here. We have converted the PAY into its equivalent numbers, the numbers being 15, 0, and 24. Once they are converted into these numbers, We will then multiply it with the key. After multiplying it with the key, it's standard matrix multiplication. You got this value, that is 303, 303, 531. After you got this, you have to take individual mod of each and every element by 26. Once you do this, you will have this final answer. Finally, you have to convert this number back into this alphabet. Now you know what is 17. 17, I guess you know what is 17. A stands for 0, B stands for 1, and in the same fashion, R stands for 17. So you replace these numbers with the alphabets correspondingly. Fine. And at the end, for the first group PAY, you got this as your ciphertext. Am I clear now? Jay, is it clear? Others also, if you are having any doubts, you can let me know. Fine. So likewise, we have completed the entire plain text and we got this particular ciphertext for the corresponding plain text, which was pay more money or whatever it was. Right. So we got RRL, MWB, KAS, PDH. So this is the ciphertext you have got for the plain text. Isn't it simple? So far, it's very simple, very clear, clear cut matrix multiplication and taking mod of the result. Fine. Any doubts so far? Do let me know. If you're having any doubts or is it clear, I can move ahead. The main part is regarding the decryption. The decryption is a little lengthy, so you can keep your calculators at bay because we can need those. Okay. So first of all, let's start with decryption. Now it involves inverse matrix multiplication. That is where it gets tricky. Fine. I guess you have your maths concept clear because even I have to revise maths. Each and every time I teach this topic, I have to revise. I need to revise all those things again and again. So what happens is you need some sort of inverse matrix multiplications. I will uh, I will show you how to do it, but ultimately you have to do it, right? So let's start with this. The decryption requires using the inverse of the matrix K. Now we have the matrix K. The very first thing is, kindly let me know how to calculate the inverse of any matrix. There are various ways, right? I will show you one of the ways. You can use any other way. If you are comfortable with any other way, you can use that. Ultimate goal is you should get the same answer. That's it. Fine. So kindly let me know what are the various ways by which you can calculate inverse. I guess it can't be typed over here, so you can unmute yourself. No issues with it. Kindly let me know what are the various ways by which you can calculate inverse of a matrix. If you remember, yeah, transpose is one of the ways, correct? If you remember, in the very first lecture, I had told you that revise your maths concepts. This is where you will start requiring maths. Cryptography is purely an application of mathematics. So kindly revise your concepts properly. Matrix multiplications, I have already told you. Matrix multiplications, what is adjoint, what is cofactor, what is co-minus. Kindly revise those again and again. What is transpose, what is adjugate, etc., etc. That is what we are going to need now. Log of inverse. Okay, there are various ways. You can calculate the determinant, you can calculate the co-minus, then find out the adjugate or adjoint, and using that you can get the inverse. The very basic thing, if you remember, what we used to do initially, there were various methods. What we used to do initially, A into A inverse is equal to I. This is how we used to start. Yes or no? Then we used to make it identity matrix, and whatever was there on the right hand side, we had to convert that into an identity matrix. And initially, we got A inverse, right? So we first of all had to convert this A into an identity matrix. Then, if it becomes an identity, then whatever is there on the right hand side, that used to be my A inverse. You can do it like this, but it will be a longer method, I guess, because in the exams also we had different methods to solve the matrix multiplications, matrix inverses. This was one of the methods, but obviously it is longer because you need to do all sort of row transformations, column transformations, etc., etc. If you remember, we used to do this. I used to do it also 12 years ago. So it's a long time back. So that's why you need to keep on improving your mathematics. I will show a slide later on that maths is everywhere. Okay, so fine. So what method I use this, what method I found from the various books I referred. Let me show you. The very first thing is we need to compute the determinant of the matrix K. Yeah, matrix K. Now you know how to find determinant, right? I don't need to focus on it. Determinant of K, whatever it is, it came out to be 23. Am I clear? You can simply write it down. Determinant of K equal to 23 because you're going to need it. I'm going to make sure you solve this particular problem. This is one of the most important ciphers from this particular chapter. So kindly write down determinant of K is equal to 23. Fine. Then what we need to do is we need to you make use of modular multiplication or modular arithmetics. Now here is where the trickier part comes in picture. What happens is we are trying to find out the inverse of this determinant. I will show you why I am doing this. Why do we need the inverse of this determinant K? Because we are going to stick with this formula. Just have a look. I am finding out K inverse using this formula. K inverse is equal to 1 upon determinant of K, that is nothing but determinant K inverse. Is it clear? Into adjugate of K. This is one of the simplest formulas I found in the various books and on the internet. So kindly have a look at this formula. One of the simplest formulas I found. Otherwise, every other formula is quite lengthy. So every other way is quite lengthy. You can stick to this method if you wish, or you can use your own methods and then compare whichever is easier, whichever you found easy to solve. Okay, just have a look. K inverse is determinant K inverse. Okay, so basically determinant of K inverse into adjugate of K or adjoint of K, whatever you want to call it. Am I clear? I will show you how we got it. As you can see that small smiley at the end, how. So don't worry, I will show you how to do it. But first of all, let me know whether you got this formula or not. This was there in your syllabus. You must have studied it. Yeah, it was there. So I just fetched this particular formula from your books only. So you can't deny that we haven't done this. Okay. So this is one of the formulas, determinant K inverse into K adjugate or K adjoint. Fine. So this is the main need. We first of all want determinant K. Now we want this value of n because we want determinant K inverse, right? So we can find determinant K inverse using the determinant K value. How to do it? Just have a look. We, as we know, everything is done in the domain of modular arithmetic over here. So everything, every operation that we do, that is in terms of mod. That is mod 26. So what happens is we now know the value of determinant K, which is 23. So whatever operation we are going to perform, that has to include your mod operation also, because all these operations that we are seeing over here are in the domain of modular arithmetic. Am I clear? So you have to add that mod anyhow in between because the numbers can't exceed the maximum bound, that is 26. As you know, alphabets are 26, so it will be from 0 to 25 only. So you can't go beyond that number. So any value you get, you will have that value between 0 to 25 only. That is the main reason we are using the mod 26 operations over here. Is it clear? Is the concept clear? Anyone might ask you why we do mod 26. So I just shed light on that particular topic only. Why we go for mod 26? Why not something else? Fine. Is it clear? Don't worry, I will go step by step how the calculations are done. Till here, if you're having any doubts, you can ask me. Okay, fine. Okay, A division. Okay, clear. So just have a look. We have got the value of determinant K, which is 23. Using that value only and doing some sort of mod operations, we are going to find out the value of n. Now, what is n? Have a look. If I multiply the determinant of K into any arbitrary value n with any arbitrary value n and take a mod of that value by 26, wherever I get the remainder as 1, that will be my determinant K inverse. Am I making any sense? Let me repeat it once again. I have got this value determinant of K. Yes, I have got this value. It was already calculated as 23. I know I have to take a remainder by 26. Fine. So if I multiply this determinant k into any arbitrary value n, and if that result gives me 1 as an answer, congruent to 1 or 1 as an answer, then I will make sure that this particular n value is my determinant k inverse. This is what we call as the Chinese remainder theorem. You're going to understand, you're going to learn this later, but I am just shedding some light on this now only. Chinese remainder theorem. This is just an application of that Chinese remainder theorem. So what happens is, if you multiply this determinant k into any arbitrary value n and take a mod of that entire value by 26, wherever you get the value as 1, for that corresponding n, that is your determinant k inverse. Am I making any sense? Is it clear? Kindly let me know. So basically what you need to do is you need to create an algorithm, or you need to keep on trying multiple combinations of n, and that is what you need to do right now. Multiply 26 by 1, multiply 26 by 2, and keep on trying multiple combinations. Keep dividing it by 26. At one point of time, Jimit, that is what I'm asking you to do. 26 is your determinant. You have to start with 1 as n and check whether the mod 26 value is 1 or not. If it is not, move on with the next iteration. Increase the value of n by 2. Increase the value of n to 2, basically. So replace n by 2, keep on trying. If it is not giving answer, replace n by 3, keep on trying. You have your calculators, right? So keep on trying, and then at the end, at one point of time, you will get the value of this particular operation as 1. So for which value of n you got it, that is a determinant k inverse. Is it clear? Yes. Kindly let me know. So kindly start with different values of n and let me know for which value of n you are getting the answer as 1. This can be solved easily because you are having your calculators in front of you, right? You can use your computers, you can also use your mobile phone. It's not a difficult calculation to do, right? Quickly, just 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes maximum. Okay, start. Jimit, any doubts? Any more doubts? Kindly let me know. Yes, B division kindly start. A division kindly start. Jimit, we are already doing it with an example only, na? We are just carrying it forward. The same example only we are carrying forward. Determinant of k is nothing but we got 23 using that k matrix only. This is your k matrix. We got the determinant of this k as 23. Am I clear? If you want to write it like this, that is also fine. 23. Simple. So that is what we are carrying forward over here. With the help of the determinant value, we are calculating the determinant k inverse. Harsh, is it fine? Jimit, is it fine now? Okay. The same example only we are solving, and at the end we will get the answers. Fine. So determinant k inverse you have to obtain. Whatever value gives 1 as the answer, that is the corresponding value of n, which is nothing but determinant k inverse, or k inverse you can say. Determinant k inverse. Yes, Dhruv, correct answer. So you basically have to divide it into two parts. You can also use a mobile phones for quick answers. Yeah, the lowest one you have to consider because we can't go beyond 26. Na? We are doing mod 26 operations. So Dhruv, the very first answer which is below 26 is your answer. Yes, the answer is 17. If you do it, you will get to know. First of all, tell me what is the answer you got for this 23 into 17. Kindly let me know that. I will show you quickly how to do it. 23 into 17. First of all, 23 into 17 will be an answer that you have to take mod by 26. What is 23 into 17? Come on, quickly give me answers. 391. Okay. So 391, when you divide by 26, first of all, divide 391 by 26. What is the answer? 15.03, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 15.038, whatever it is. So what you need to do is you need to consider this part before the decimal point. So I'm getting something like this, 15.03 something something, 038 something. So you have to consider this part, multiply this 15 with 26. You will get answer as 390. What you need to do is simply subtract this from 391. If it is 1, then your mod is 1. I hope you know this, right? Is it clear? Yes or no? So 15 into 26 will give you a value of 390. Simply subtract it from 391. You will get the remainder as 1. So you will get multiple answers, not only 17, but other answers will be more than 26, right? As we are doing every operation, as Dhruv has given answer 17, 43, 69, 95. So these are various answers for this particular n value. But as everything is in domain of 26 only, we can't go beyond 26. That's why we select the value which falls under the criteria, that is 17. So now we can say that determinant K inverse is 17. So I have got the value of 17 over here. So how to calculate? Now K inverse will be 17, sorry, it is 17, not say 17 inverse. It is 17 now into adjugate of K. Am I clear now? Yes. Is it now simple? It's basically you have to find out adjugate of K now and directly multiply by 17. You will get your answers. Is it simple now? Kindly let me know. So the only tricky part over here is calculating the determinant K inverse. Am I clear? That will take some time. You need practice. With practice, you will be able to do it quickly. Am I clear? Any doubts so far? Instead of asking at the end, you can ask now also if you're having any doubts. Clear? Fine. What about others? B division? Okay. So, do you want me to show you how to find this adjugate part, or you can do it? If you want, I can simply show it in 5 to 10 minutes how to find out the adjugate, just a revision. If you wish, I can show that. Because ultimately you have to calculate this. Fine? Okay. Okay, so let me show you how you got this adjugate part. Just a quick revision, nothing else. As I was saying that mathematics is everywhere. So the very first thing is I have taken an example to show it to you. I've obviously taken it from Wikipedia. So calculate the determinant of a matrix. This is how you calculate the determinant of a matrix, one into the other columns, which we already are aware of how to do it, right? This is the matrix M, and you need to calculate the determinant of the matrix M using the formula. 1 will be multiplied by this into this, that is this minus this, minus 2 into this. That you are aware of how to calculate determinant. This is just to check whether the determinant is 0 or not. If the determinant is 0, then we won't have any inverse of that matrix. I guess this is basic mathematics, basic concepts of maths. If you have determinant as 0, you can't have any inverse for that matrix. Just concepts, just revising it. Let me quickly see what Khushit has on. We can divide 23 by. Yeah, Khushit, that is what we did, right? We divided every number by 23. Okay, the adjoint you are saying. Yeah, that is also fine. You can do it. That is what I said. Whichever method you want, you can use it. Just make sure the answers are correct. And whichever method you're comfortable with, you can use it. I'm just giving you one of the methods. It's up to you whether you want to use it or you can use any other method. Fine. Yes, correct. So now what we need to do is you need to move on to the next step. The very first step is you have to check whether determinant is possible or not. If the determinant is 0, then you can't move ahead with the inverse thing. Okay. That doesn't happen because otherwise the question is pointless. Next step is you have to calculate the transpose of the original matrix. Now you know how to transpose a matrix. Rows are columns, rows get converted to columns, and columns become rows. Right? Third step is find the determinant of each of the 2 by 2 minor matrices. Now you know what is a minor matrix, right? That is what we did in the case of this determinant also. Same thing you have to do. Now what you need to do is find the determinant of each of the 2 by 2 minor matrices. So the very first thing is if I consider mt1 comma 1, if I consider this, then the value will be, I will consider 1 comma 1, then the value which we are going to consider is this, that is 1640. So if I take a determinant of this, I will get the answer as minus 24. So in the same fashion, if I proceed ahead with empty first row second column, it will be like this, and you have to take the determinant of this particular minor matrix, and you will get the answer as minus 18. So you have to carry forward with this particular concept. You have to calculate the cofactor of, sorry, you have to calculate the minor matrices, determinant of minor matrices of each of these 9 elements, and at the end you will get these values: minus 24, minus 18, 5, so and so. This is what we call as the matrix of cofactors. I'm just revising the concepts, you must be aware of it. So once you get the matrix of cofactors, that is what we call as adjugate, or in simple terms, people call it adjoint also. No worries, you can use it interchangeably in this context. Okay, so this is what we need to do: create the matrix of cofactors, and at the end you will get the answer. So at adjugate of m, in the same fashion, you have to calculate the adjugate of k, right? That is what we want at the end, and the formula is over here in front of you. This is the exact same formula that we are making use of. We find out m transpose, a determinant of m, adjugate of m, and at the end you will easily get m inverse. That is what we are doing over here. Am I clear? Is it fine? It was just a quick revision of what you are aware of. Fine. So at the end we will get some value of k inverse. Now how to move ahead? Ultimately all these operations, all these steps were just to find out the value of k inverse. That is why this question is a little lengthier as compared to other questions. It comes for 10 marks, a single question. It may consist of plain text of size 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, but it will be obviously in a multiple of the key size. Am I making sense? Because in this case, it has to be a multiple of the key size. Otherwise, you won't be able to break it into parts. If it is not a multiple of the key size by any chance, then you must add some bogus characters or random characters at the end of the plain text to make it a multiple of the key. Is it clear? Am I making sense? Similar to what you did in your Playfest cipher, just to break it up, you added some extra characters in between. Similarly, for example, over here, if your plain text is of size 13 and your key is of size 3, what you will do? Suppose plain text ka length is 13 and the key size is of length 3. Then what you need to do? You have to first of all make it a multiple of 3, right? So what you need to do? Yeah, add constant variable, add 2 characters, correct. Now, what you can do, the characters totally depend on you. You can add any character, X, Y, Z, whatever you wish, just to make sure that it is of equal length. Equal as in it is a multiple of the key size. That's it. Clear with this? Okay, A division, kindly respond. You are not responding. Today, B is giving answers. You are not giving answers. Okay. I'm not getting answers from A. Yeah, fine. So this is just how we calculate K inverse. And now let's see how to proceed with the decryption part. You saw in the case of encryption, the formula was C is equal to PK mod 26. Yes or no? So what will be decryption? Any idea? The above formula, that is C is equal to P dot K mod 26, was for encryption. Now you only tell me what could be the formula for decryption. Mind you, we are calculating P this time. So what will be the change in the formula? It will be C. Okay, C by K, you mean K inverse. Yeah. It will be C into K inverse mod 26. Am I clear? Is it making sense now? So now we know how to calculate the inverse, and now we know how to use it in your formula. Fine. Any doubts with this? Kindly let me know. The answer you will get is plain text is equal to C into K inverse mod 26. What is C? C is nothing but that you got over here. R, this one, this value is your C. So again, you have to take pairs of 3. You have to convert that into the numeric value. Numeric value is nothing but 17, 17, 11. Multiply this value with your K inverse that you will get from here. Okay. And whatever answer you will get, take a mod of that by 26 and you will get your final answer. This will obviously be in pairs, sorry, in groups of 3. So you will have 4 such groups, and when you combine them together, you will get back the answer, which is pay more money. So this is a homework question. I want you to solve this, complete this entire question. Just do the decryption part. You only need to calculate the K inverse. Once you get the K inverse, use it in this formula and give me the answer. Solve it in your assignment pages. Now we have 2 questions for your first assignment as of now. If you remember question number 1, I had already given calculate the hash. Okay, now take a message. I'm giving you a message. Okay, this is the message I'm giving you. Calculate hash of engineering is fun. And what you need to do is you need to first of all uh, generate an MD5 hash of this. Okay, then SHA1 hash of this. Obviously, you are not aware of what these things are, so you can simply go to online decryptors or online websites where they create hashes for you. So create a hash for this message. Engineering is fun. Okay, same. It should be case sensitive. I have just the first character E as capital. Everything else is small. Engineering space is space fun. Okay, calculate the MD5 and SHA1 hash of this, write it down in your answer sheets, and then what you need to do is convert this into lowercase. Change only the first character. Change only the first character's case. From uppercase E, make it small lowercase e. And again do the same process. Again calculate MD5, again calculate SHA1, and write it down in your notebooks. And tell me how many bits are getting changed, and calculate the percentage. Am I clear? Calculate the change and percentage change. We are changing just one bit, one character. That too, we are not changing it. We are simply changing the case of that character. So you need to calculate by how many bits are changed in the final answer. Am I clear? This is your question number 1. Is it fine? This is just a practical assignment I'm giving to you. You can do it within few minutes. And question number 2 is this particular question. Decrypt whatever you got over here, this particular value. One second. I guess you got it, right? We have to decrypt this particular value and tell me the answers. Okay. Step by step. So you have to decrypt this value using your K inverse. So first of all, find out K inverse. That is your main task. So these are the things you need to find out. First of all, find out K inverse, then convert this into 4 groups of 3 each, and then find out the decryption. That is a plain text. Is it clear? These are the 2 questions for your assignment number 1 so far. I will keep on adding questions. I will also drop this in a Google Classroom. So I will give you 3 days or 4 days time. Kindly do it. You will get your weekend also. Okay, on Monday you can submit. Fine. You will get a lot of time to do this. Is it fine? Is it clear? By Monday you can submit this. In between, if needed, I can give more questions as and when we encounter more questions. Fine. So I will try to keep the assignments as practical as possible without wasting much time. Okay. Fine. So this was the task for today. Let me quickly revise all the steps that we have done so far, because this hill cipher is a long, huge concept. So we can't start with one more topic today, I guess. It will be left in between. So let me quickly revise what we have done so far. This encryption algorithm of Hill cipher basically consists of uh, pairs of, you can say pairs or groups of plain text and ciphertext. What we are doing is we are basically using matrix multiplication as the main operation over here. And keep a note of it that every operation that we are performing in this cipher is within the boundaries of mod 26. That is what we call as mod operations or modular arithmetic. Whatever operations we are doing, multiplication, addition, subtraction, whatever it is, it will be subjected to a modular 26 operation. That is, any value cannot be more than 26 ever. As you can see over here, we got some value as 303, 531. We converted that back to the boundaries of 26. We don't want any value more than 26, as we are having characters only 26 in numbers, 0 to, sorry, A to Z. Fine. So we stick to that. We use this formula, that is a simple matrix multiplication. As you can see, encryption is always simpler. The only part is where decryption comes into picture. Because at the end, we want to make the encryption of the message easier, but decryption to be difficult. Otherwise, the attackers can easily crack my message. That is why we want to make sure that the attackers can't access my message easily. Fine. Yes, Jyoti, I will upload yesterday's lecture and today's lecture together today by evening. Fine. So that is my main task. I want to make sure that the crypt analysis is difficult. That is why encryption in any algorithm is always simple. The decryption part is difficult. Fine. That is what we do. We convert that plain text, we convert that key. The key will be given in form of a matrix value. You have to convert that matrix into numbers and that plain text into numbers, multiply them and take a mod of it. You will get the ciphertext. After getting the ciphertext, what you need to do is, whatever was the initial key, you have to calculate the determinant of that key. And with the help of that determinant, you find out the determinant inverse. That is the inverse determinant of the key. You know now how to do it. There is an arbitrary value or an imaginary value n. You multiply that determinant you got with that n value and keep on getting the mod 26. At one point of time, you will get the result as 1. For whichever value of n, the result is 1. That is your inverse determinant of k. Fine. And using this formula below, you first of all find out the adjugate of k, and using adjugate k value, you multiply it with the inverse determinant of k and you get the answer for k inverse. Once you get the value of k inverse, you put in this formula. Now you have already got C. You already know what is the k inverse value now. You will simply get the plain text for a particular group. You have to keep on repeating for the 4 groups we are having, and at the end, you will get the plain text back. This is what you need to do for your assignment. Decrypt it. I want each and every step. Okay, so don't skip any steps. I want each and every step as a 10 marks question. Attempt it like that and give me the answers. Fine. Any doubts in this lecture?